The system told me to bully the school bully. I steeled myself and pushed a stack of money toward him. Please be my bodyguard. No, my lackey. The school bully laughed in anger. Where did this spoiled young miss come from, thinking money can let you do whatever you want? I looked at his terrifying expression. Flustered, I rummaged through my backpack and pulled out a black card, handing it to him with both hands, my voice trembling with nervousness. Now can you be my dog? The school bully fell silent for a moment. Woof woof. The day my biological parents took me home, the system found me. Ding. True heiress identity confirmed. Villainous side character plot loading. It told me that I was a character in a novel. If I didn't follow its instructions and complete the corresponding tasks, both my parents and I would die. Fearing it might actually harm others, I panicked and nodded in agreement. The system immediately recited a long passage of the plot to me. The long-lost biological daughter finally returns home, only to find everything is completely different from what she imagined. A cold father, a busy mother, the fake daughter who has taken her place, and a family she can't fit into. The true heiress gazes at the empty villa in disappointment, determined to reclaim everything that rightfully belongs to her. And so, on her very first night back home, I followed the system's instructions, holding a cup of warm milk. Anxiously waiting outside my sister Willa's door, the true heiress, in order to quickly establish her footing in this family, decided to teach the imposter who had taken her place a lesson. She held a cup of scalding hot water, waiting outside the fake heiress's room. When the door opened, the true heiress didn't hesitate to pour the hot water onto the fake heiress's face, arrogantly ordering her to get out. I was completely engrossed in listening. Suddenly, the door in front of me creaked open. A tall figure stepped out. What are you doing here? I was startled. The milk in my hand almost spilled. Host, now is the time. Hearing the system's urging, I trembled as I splashed the milk in my hand onto my sister's face. Get out of my house. But I didn't expect that because I was shorter than her, so I missed the mark. The warm liquid trickled down Willa's collarbone, instantly soaking her white nightgown. I looked at her impressive cleavage, and my face suddenly turned bright red. I'm sorry. I flusteredly averted my gaze. Fumbling in panic, I pulled out a tissue to help my sister wipe the dampness on her chest. The system scolded me in my mind. I told you to splash hot water, but you said it was too hot and refused. Now you even splashed milk in the wrong spot. Host, what exactly are you good for? I apologized helplessly, repeatedly saying, I'm sorry. Tears welled up uncontrollably in my eyes. That's enough. Willa suddenly interrupted me. Heidi, what did you just call me? See, sister. I looked up at her cautiously. Willa frowned and raised her hand. I thought she was going to hit me. I closed my eyes in fear. Unexpectedly, she just gently pinched my cheek. Forget it this time. It's late. Go to bed now. Then she walked away as if nothing had happened, leaving me stunned and the system in disarray. What? The female lead just walked away like that? What happened to her being intolerant of the slightest offense and seeking revenge for the smallest grievance? Why didn't she slap you? I shook my head. I don't know why either. After saying that, I tentatively added, maybe, just maybe, since my sister is so kind, the two of us could actually get along peacefully. The system was exasperated. Host, you're the villainess, meant to oppose the female lead. How can you have a favorable impression of her? Has the host forgotten that? As the villainess, your fate is to be driven out of the family by the female lead and die miserably on the streets. I softly responded with an, oh, quietly tidied everything up. Early the next morning, I arrived at the school my parents had arranged for me. On the podium, I stood beside the teacher with my head lowered, yet my gaze was drawn to the boy sitting in the last row. The system banged its little blackboard loudly in my mind. This is a crucial plot point. Host, pay close attention. The genuine heiress arrived at school and, with her lavish spending, quickly formed her own clique, beginning to bully other students. The handsome and notoriously rebellious Jeffrey became the genuine heiress's new target. She vowed to make the former school tyrant willingly kneel at her feet and become her lackey. I glanced at the boy lying on the desk, buried in sleep, hesitantly telling the system, I can't do it. I really don't know how to bully others. The system said, it's fine. Everyone else doesn't matter. The host just needs to bully Jeffrey. I quickly glanced at the bulging muscles on Jeffrey's arm and nervously lowered my head, but he looks so intimidating. The system shrugged. Don't worry, he doesn't hit girls. I hesitated for a moment before quietly voicing my doubt. Why should I provoke someone who clearly looks like trouble? The system grew somewhat impatient. Because you're the brainless, malicious supporting character. You're meant to kick the iron plate and suffer the consequences. That's what makes the readers happy. I responded with a gloomy, oh, thinking about how I, the vicious supporting character, would eventually be hated by everyone around me. I just couldn't feel happy no matter what, but not following the plot would mean certain death. So in the end, clutching my backpack, I walked over to the empty seat next to Jeffrey under the astonished gazes of my classmates. The system urged me to quickly find the right angle to sit, put on a haughty expression, and start following the script. As soon as Jeffrey woke up, I obediently put my things away, straightened my back, and sat properly on the chair. It wasn't until my back ached from sitting that Jeffrey finally woke up at his leisure. He ruffled his tousled hair, catching a glimpse of me, the new desk mate. He suddenly paused, frowning tightly. He looked at me. Who are you? The system hurriedly shouted. Quick! 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 The plot is about to begin. Host, keep up. The true heiress raised her chin and said to Jeffrey with great arrogance, I am your master. Following the system's instructions, I looked sincerely into Jeffrey's eyes and uttered that line, I am your master. But clearly, I lacked the imposing presence of the true heiress in the novel. After I finished speaking, a burst of laughter erupted in the classroom. Ha ha ha, Jeffrey, has your kitten turned into a spirit? Why is it meowing at you in school? Jeffrey laughed in exasperation. He stared at me, his fingers tapping the desk unhurriedly. Say that again. I shivered uncontrollably. I instinctively explained, I want to hire you as my bodyguard. No, wait, as my lackey. Everyone laughed even louder. The system was also angry. Host, you're supposed to be playing the role of a haughty young lady right now. Why are you explaining things to him? I'm sorry. I quickly covered my mouth. Forget it, host. Quickly move on to the next part of the plot. The true heiress pulled out a wad of cash from her bag and threw it in Jeffrey's face. Here, if you're willing to be my lackey, all this is yours. I struggled to pull my backpack out from under the desk and pushed a bag full of red bills toward Jeffrey. This is your payment. Jeffrey didn't even bat an eye and pushed the bag back. He sneered. Where did this young miss come from, thinking money can buy anything? Amidst the jeers and taunts, the true heiress disdainfully added another stack of cash. How about now? Hearing this part of the plot, my movements suddenly paused. The system was puzzled. What's wrong, host? Just take out some more money. I swallowed hard. All the money I withdrew is in a bag. I don't have any on me now. The system was speechless for a moment. Then, do you have anything else valuable? Take it out first. The effect should be about the same. I glanced at Jeffrey's terrifying expression. I hurriedly responded with a yes. I reluctantly pulled out the black card my sister had stuffed into my backpack before school this morning, holding the black card in my palm. I anxiously asked the system, what if Jeffrey actually agrees? What do I do then? The system assured me, he won't. Jeffrey's family isn't short on money. The more money you offer him, the more he'll feel insulted. With this black card, he's likely to block you outright. But the more he dislikes you, the easier the subsequent plot will be. Don't worry about it. After hearing the system's words, I reluctantly set my mind at ease, summoning my courage. I held out the black card with both hands to Jeffrey and nervously delivered my line. Now can you be my dog? Jeffrey stared at the black card in my palm with a strange expression. Great job, host. Look, Jeffrey is so angry he can't even speak. Ha ha ha. The system was extremely excited and became much gentler toward me. According to the original plot, Jeffrey will definitely angrily tell the host to get lost next. Don't be upset, host. Remember to take the money and the card with you before leaving. The system hadn't finished speaking. The card in my palm was suddenly snatched away. I widened my eyes, staring blankly at my empty palm. The system was shocked too. Damn it, what the hell are you doing? Weren't you supposed to treat money like dirt? Jeffrey toyed with the black card in his hand, a glint of amusement in his eyes. Are you trying to keep me? I quickly waved my hands. No, that's not what I meant. So could you give the card back to me first? He hadn't even finished the second half of his sentence. I watched helplessly as Jeffrey slipped the card into his own pocket. Whether it is or not, I'm keeping this card for now. I jumped up in agitation. But, ahem, the system reminded me, host, pay attention to the plot. I had no choice but to sit back down with a pout. If you take my card, you'll have to be my lackey. Think carefully about it. I wanted Jeffrey to back out on his own. But to my surprise, he nodded readily. Money talks. I get it. He coughed lightly twice. I don't know what kind of dog you like. I froze. Suddenly, a line from the plot echoed in my ears. After throwing the money, the true heiress arrogantly hooked Jeffrey's chin and taunted him. Good dog, bark twice for me. The system rubbed its hands excitedly. Host, this plot point fits perfectly right now. Forced to hold Jeffrey's face, I weakly repeated the lines. Finished, the system kindly reminded. Host, remember to dodge later. In the original story, Jeffrey flips the entire table. I nodded, but after waiting for a long time, Jeffrey still didn't slap my hand away. He kept looking at me with a complicated gaze, his eyes filled with hesitation and struggle. In the end, I was the one who backed down first. System, can I let go first? My hand is so sore. The system flatly refused me. No can do, host. This is a necessary psychological game. You must wait until Jeffrey loses his patience first. Hang in there, host. I frowned in frustration. Finally, helpless, I patted Jeffrey's face and said, be good. Actually, I was trying to hint that he should lose his temper sooner. Jeffrey looked into my eyes, his ears suddenly turning red as he whispered very softly, woof woof. My eyes widened in shock, and I was dumbfounded again. How is this different from what the system said? The people around us fell silent. Then the place erupted in chaos. No way, Jeffrey, you weren't like this before. I heard Jeffrey's been having some financial troubles lately. Guess it's true, troubles. This isn't just troubles, this is straight up bankruptcy, isn't it, TSK? See, I told you if you don't work hard, you'll end up being a woman's plaything. What plaything? Are you stupid? The young lady is so generous. Clearly she's here to help the poor. But helping only Jeffrey wouldn't be fair. So, young lady, do you still need a dog? Count me in too, young lady. I'm very skilled at being a dog. Woof woof. Get lost with that dog barking. Don't dirty the young lady's ears. A group of people suddenly crowded around, pushing and shoving, chasing after me and shouting, Miss. Terrified, I ducked under the desk. Helplessly, I called out to the system. System, what should I do now? But the system seemed to have short-circuited, repeating the same phrases over and over. This shouldn't be happening. How could he have agreed? This is really bizarre. The people around me slowly closed in, trapping me in the middle. I hid under the table, helplessly hugging my knees. System, are you still there? System, I called out a few more times before noticing the system had left me a message before disappearing. The current system can no longer meet task requirements. Please upgrade to the latest version. I froze for a moment. Now I'm worrying about how to upgrade. A furry head suddenly popped under the desk, eyes gleaming. MISS would I do? Caught off guard, I was startled and fell to the ground. Jeffrey frowned, grabbing the other person by the collar. He yanked them out from under the desk and dragged them aside. The onlookers scattered like birds and beasts at the sight. I cautiously peeked out, realizing everyone around had left. Using both hands and feet, I quickly crawled out from under the desk. Looking up, I noticed Jeffrey standing nearby. Looking at me with amusement, I coughed twice, trying to salvage my dignity as the villainess. Gee, good job, congratulations on passing my test. With that, I hurriedly grabbed my bag and ran out of the classroom. Sorry, I couldn't help but glance back to see Jeffrey's reaction. It was just after school, and the hallway was filled with students roughhousing. I blended into the crowd and finally caught my breath. Suddenly, a loud notification sound rang out in my mind. Ding! System version 2.0 is now online, accompanied by a dazzling shower of celebratory effects. I looked utterly bewildered. Do systems upgrade this quickly? The system cleared its throat with dignity. Host, the previous plot calculation errors were due to the system not being updated for a long time, resulting in numerous bugs. The new version has been upgraded and will absolutely not repeat the previous issues. As soon as the words were spoken, another sound echoed in my mind. Ding! Version upgrade completed. The external assistance system has been forcibly activated. The system exclaimed, "What the hell is this?" It rustled through the upgrade terms. In an inconspicuous corner, a line of fine print was discovered. After the version upgrade, the external support system will be enabled by default. Once the external support system is activated, it cannot be turned off. The system froze. I tilted my head in confusion. What's an external assistance system? The system guiltily closed the terms and coughed twice. It should be here to help. Host doesn't need to worry, just proceed with the tasks as usual. So I nodded and didn't pay it much mind. Returned home. Both parents were rarely home at the same time. I was about to approach them. The system quickly stopped me. Host, don't forget. You're in a cold war with them because they adopted the fake heiress right after you went missing. I forced my foot back mid-step and let out a pitiful, oh. The system started urging me to follow the plot again. The real heiress returns home and sees the fake heiress sitting at the dining table with their parents, the picture of a happy family, which fills her with rage. She rushes over and overturns the table. I rush over, overturn, I can't lift it, system. I was on the verge of tears. The system quickly offered a solution, then pull the tablecloth and spill all the dishes on the floor, so they can't eat them. I grabbed the tablecloth with one hand. Seeing the array of dishes on the table, I hesitantly swallowed my saliva. None of it's been eaten yet. What a waste. Maybe I should let them eat first, and I'll come back later. The system hadn't had time to answer me yet. Suddenly, a cold electronic voice appeared, drip. Detecting host's behavior of defying the plot, punishment mode initiating in 10, 9, the system panicked and shouted, no, buddy, hold on a second. The external support system remained unmoved. 3, 2, 1, my eyes widened. A sharp pain suddenly surged through my internal organs. I immediately collapsed to my knees. Dishes and bowls clattered and shattered across the floor. Heidi, Mom, Dad, and my sister all rushed toward me. I curled up on the ground, looking at the mess all around. I whispered a pained, I'm sorry, before uncontrollably slipping into unconsciousness. After fainting, I stayed in the hospital for a week. After being discharged, I returned to school. The school was holding a sports meet. Jeffrey had just won a bunch of medals. Walking back to the spectator seats with arms around the shoulders of a group of boys, I was warmly welcomed by my classmates. I kept my head down, quietly hiding under the shade of an umbrella, avoiding the commotion. But Jeffrey didn't forget about me, his benefactor. He pushed through the crowd and walked toward me on his own. The tall shadow instantly blocked the sun. I looked up at him. A faint coolness suddenly touched my cheek. Did you get heatstroke? Your face is so red. Jeffrey pressed a bottle of ice-cold water against my face, his eyes brimming with unrestrained amusement. Just bought it. Want some? I gave it a cool glance. Suddenly, I reached out and slapped the water bottle from his hand. The icy water tumbled to the ground. The outer packaging was instantly covered in a layer of dust. The people laughing and playing around froze. Jeffrey frowned, suppressing his impatience. He lowered his voice and asked again, you can't drink anything cold. I lowered my eyes, glanced pointedly at his sweat-soaked shirt, and coldly replied, dirty. With that, I turned and walked away. When I reached a place with no one around, weakly leaning against the wall, I slowly slid down to sit on the ground. A sudden, emotionless voice from the external aid system echoed in my mind. Ding, detection complete. This plot point has been fulfilled. I let out a sigh of relief, hugging my knees as my body trembled. The pain from that day's punishment seemed etched into my very bones. Just hearing that cold electronic voice brings it all back. Host, the system spoke after a moment of silence. As long as you diligently complete the subsequent plot, you won't be punished again. Weakly, I crouched on the ground and nodded. Hey, suddenly, someone tapped me on the shoulder from behind. Ding, plot triggered. The real heiress faints from heatstroke by the roadside. A kind-hearted classmate tries to help but is coldly pushed away. Mind your own business. I swatted the hand away. Mind your own. Turning around, it was Jeffrey's face again. His face was filled with displeasure. I instinctively took 2 steps back. Jeffrey raised an eyebrow. Afraid of me, yet you dared to knock away the water I gave you. I steadied myself against the wall. I stubbornly insisted, I just have heatstroke and felt dizzy. That's why I lost my balance. Jeffrey brought the first aid kit over to me. There's medicine inside. Take what you need. As I reached for it, he suddenly grabbed my arm. Did you scrape your arm? I looked down and indeed saw a red patch with some blood. No idea when that happened. No wonder it stings so much. I pouted my lips. None of your business. Jeffrey was amused by anger. Miss Princess, I'm doing this for the money. All right. He helplessly picked up the first aid kit. Would your highness now condescend to let me bandage you up? Oh, right. I almost forgot I paid for this. Thinking of that black card that was in my hand for only half a day, I nodded immediately. Jeffrey rinsed my wound with saline solution. Then he picked up a cotton swab dipped in iodine. This might hurt a little. Try to bear with it. I'll be as gentle as possible. I was just about to say, it's okay, but suddenly, the voice of the plot rang in my ears again. The true heiress had already said she didn't need help, yet the other party kept pestering her, provoking her anger. In a fit of rage, she raised her hand and slapped them. get lost. I was stunned. I looked down at Jeffrey, who was patiently tending to my wound, suddenly feeling a pang of conscience, so I discussed with the system. Can I just say the lines and change the action? The system, I think it's possible, detected host's tendency to deviate from the plot. Enforcement mode activated. The external support system emotionlessly declared, "You asterisk." The system cursed loudly. The next second, my hand moved uncontrollably. A slap landed on Jeffrey's face. Extremely loud, Jeffrey looked at me in astonishment, still holding a cotton swab in his hand, completely stunned by this sudden slap. I can't explain. As the forced execution was initiated, I received another punishment warning. Although it was just a warning this time, the pain still made tears instantly well up in my eyes, choking back sobs. I delivered my line, "Get out." Jeffrey stared at me incredulously. Is disinfecting really that painful? Did I press too hard? I shook my head haphazardly. Tears welled up in my eyes as I crouched weakly on the ground. Jeffrey didn't bother to argue. Take out the phone and call for emergency help. I gritted my teeth and reached out to stop him. It's no use. I'll be fine after a while. Last time I passed out from the punishment pain, my parents took me to the hospital, but nothing was found in the end. The system said the punishment imposed by the external aid system was a trauma at the soul level. So, host, take it easy. If your soul gets electrocuted too many times, it will dissipate. I'm afraid of pain. She nodded quickly in agreement at the time, determined to follow the plot properly. Never expected to be warned again today. The system probably finds me quite annoying too, right? I lowered my head in sorrow. The cruel electronic voice sounded again. Detected that the task performer has made multiple mistakes in a short period of time. Punishment duration doubled. My pupils suddenly constricted. Then she resignedly closed her eyes, bracing herself to endure the pain. Yet the anticipated agony never came. The electric current meant to punish me was completely absorbed by another force before it could harm me again. I knelt on the ground in bewilderment, unsure of what had just happened. The usually emotionless electronic voice carried a hint of anger as it questioned the system. System 013. What are you doing? I've had enough of you. The system rolled up its sleeves. My own host hasn't even dared to punish me, yet you come along and electrocute me at will, hand out punishments as you please. Do you think my people are that easy to bully? With that, she pounced on the external support system. The two systems suddenly started fighting, tussling in my mind and hurling countless viruses and junk software at each other. It was a dizzying sight. In the end, I could only watch helplessly as both of them turned into a jumbled mess of garbled code. System. I tentatively called out. Once again, the familiar response came. The current system can no longer meet task requirements. Please upgrade to the latest version. But this time I waited for a long time, yet never saw the celebratory confetti effect signaling the upgrade's completion. I could only frantically press random buttons on the panel, until a pop-up window suddenly appeared in my mind. Dear host, due to our company's system No. 013 claiming to have suffered workplace injuries caused by idiot colleagues interfering with its duties, it is currently engaged in legal disputes with our company and temporarily unable to return to its post. Therefore, the relevant tasks are temporarily suspended. During this period, please maintain your original character settings and live normally. Wishing you a pleasant life. The time when the system was gone. I didn't know the new plot. I could only repeat what I had done before to maintain my role as the vicious supporting female character. Every night, I stood outside my sister's door holding a glass of milk. I hesitantly asked her, "Sister, can I pour it today?" Now I can pour it very accurately. The entire cup of milk spilled on my sister's face, not a single drop wasted. Willa nodded helplessly. "All right, but let me change my clothes and take a shower first." Later, my sister, with a milk mask on her face, asked me gloomily, "Heidi, am I really that dark? Why do you chase after me with milk every night?" I quickly waved my hands. "No, that's not it. My sister's wheat-colored complexion is very beautiful, and her features are deep and striking. When she wears a black suit dress and raises an eyebrow at me, I can't help but blush." Pouring milk wasn't for whitening, but I couldn't bring myself to explain the reason. I could only stand there guiltily, listening to my sister sigh softly. As for school, it's impossible to humiliate Jeffrey with money again. After all, I'm genuinely broke now. All I can do is put on the airs of a young lady and unceremoniously order him around to annoy him. Yet a whole month has passed. Jeffrey seemed to enjoy it endlessly. Moreover, I realized the balance in my meal card hadn't decreased at all. Only then did it dawn on me that I, the so-called sugar daddy, had been freeloading for a whole month. Flustered, I went to find him, wanting to get my meal card back. Jeffrey pressed his hands on my shoulders, forcing me to sit back down. Forget it, young lady, the cafeteria is so crowded. What if you get knocked over? Still hiding in a corner crying, he sneered. My pupils contracted slightly. How did he see that? I reached out to him and said stubbornly, none of your business. Give the card back to me. Jeffrey frowned. You got a new dog. Then he quickly dismissed his own speculation. Impossible, I warned them not to mess with you. His tone was icy. So besides me, you can't find a new dog. I choked on my words. Who would willingly be and even get addicted to it? Under his terrifying gaze, I silently withdrew my hand. Jeffrey gave me an approving look. I felt increasingly uneasy. Since when does the sugar daddy have to be managed? I hung my head in frustration. Why hasn't the system returned yet? If it doesn't come back soon, I'll truly lose all dignity as the villainess. The system was gone for 6 whole years. From my college entrance exams to university graduation, the system still hadn't returned. To salvage my crumbling character setting, I swiftly distanced myself from Jeffrey right after high school, because around him, my persona crumbles the fastest. We attended universities in different cities, and I never saw Jeffrey again after that. At first, he would occasionally call me, but I always panicked and hung up. Gradually, we completely lost touch. After graduating from college, I stayed by my sister Willa's side, familiarizing myself with the family business. My sister has always been outstanding. Back when I was still in high school, she had already graduated from college early and began managing the family business. Now, she has long since become a successful entrepreneur. She always loved pinching my cheeks and saying that if I hadn't gotten lost back then, with the one family's resources, I would only be more outstanding than her now, but I shyly shook my head. I'm not as smart or capable as my sister. Willa let out a deep sigh. The doctor said you've suffered physical and psychological trauma, so it's normal for your reactions to be slow. But it's okay, Heidi, whatever you want to learn, I'll teach you. We'll take it step by step, later. My sister would take me with her to every social event, gradually helping me integrate into the circle. Recently, the birthday of our business partner, Mr. Santos, is approaching. My sister took me to the banquet, unexpectedly. A minor incident occurred in the middle. Old Mr. Santos angrily raised his cane and chased after someone to hit them. You're no longer a child. Yet you keep dragging your feet and refusing to settle down. I always thought your mind was focused on your career. So I never said anything. Who knew you'd found yourself a sugar mommy out there and shamelessly lived off her black card? Today, I'll beat you to death, you unfilial descendant, and cleanse our family's name. When the accident happened, Willa and I were standing right beside it. I kept my head down, focused on eating from my plate at the buffet. My sleeve was nearly torn off by my sister's tugging. I had no choice but to turn around and join her in watching the commotion. Just one glance was stunned. Jeffrey, you know him. My sister leaned her ear closer. I nodded vaguely. My sister looked at me with a probing gaze. Then do you know that Mom and Dad have been scouting marriage candidates for you recently, and he's actually on the list? I froze instantly, as if opening a floodgate of words. My sister continued on her own. To be honest, there aren't many high-quality men in our circle to begin with, and even fewer who can keep themselves clean and avoid messing around. The Santos family has strict family values. The young Santos heir was originally within our parents' consideration, but who would have thought, playing around so wildly in private, getting kept by a wealthy older woman at such a tender age. TSK. When I saw the black card in old Mr. Santos' hand, my heart instantly sank. It was indeed the same card my sister had given me back then. Never expected that after all this time, the scandal would suddenly come to light. Willa craned her neck to take a glance at Jeffrey. She nodded in agreement. The sugar mommy has pretty good taste. Huh? I gulped hard. I really didn't know how to break it to her that the sugar mommy who was keeping Jeffrey was actually her. I'm already overwhelmed. Suddenly, the familiar beep sounded in my head. It's all because of those idiots. They almost made me miss the host's final plot point. The system's affectionate cursing voice reappeared in my mind. I was so moved I almost cried. The first thing the system did after returning was to check the current plot and task progress. After reviewing, it was pleasantly surprised. Host is truly amazing. You've managed to push the plot this far even without me here. I was stunned. What? The system gestured for me to look at the final part of the plot. The real heiress, to satisfy her vanity, stole the black card of the fake heiress and gave it to the young man she was keeping, unexpectedly. The truth was quickly exposed. The real heiress's theft and affair were publicly revealed at a banquet, leading to her being despised and forever excluded from the social circle. I fell silent for a long time after hearing it. Black card check. The black card belongs to Willa check. At the banquet, it was mistaken as the rich woman using this black card to support a lover check. Rounding it off, all the key elements are in place. Just one final push, and the truth was exposed. Yet my sister, with her long legs crossed and chin propped on her hand, was still watching the scene with great interest. I quietly tugged at her sleeve, trying to salvage the situation. Sis, it's getting late, let's head back early. Don't worry, my sister suddenly brightened up, pointing at the card in old Mr. Santos' hand. Look at that card, doesn't it look similar to the one I gave you? That's from our Wilson Family Bank. Exclusively for VIP clients, TSK. Maybe I can help find out which family this rich lady belongs to. My heart skipped a beat. I watched helplessly as my sister walked step by step in that direction. She asked old Mr. Santos for the card and handed it to her subordinate without a closer look. For a moment, I didn't know whether to feel relieved or panicked, but I knew that my reputation being ruined couldn't be far off. Soon, Willa's subordinate returned and whispered a report in her ear. When her gaze suddenly turned sharp and fixed on me, I knew it. The truth probably couldn't be kept hidden any longer. Old Mr. Santos walked over with his cane, looking spirited and vigorous. Miss Willa, may I ask if there's any progress on the matter? Willa maintained a polite smile. Mr. Santos, look at me. I can't even remember my own company's policies. Information like the names of our black card holders is strictly confidential, so I'm afraid I won't be able to help with this request. It was us who made an unreasonable request, troubling Miss Wen. Old Mr. Santos expressed his understanding and thanked her. The two exchanged a few more pleasantries. I stood there in a daze, staring straight at my sister, until she finished her socializing and pulled me into an empty lounge. She lazily collapsed onto the sofa and yanked me over as well. Sit. The sofa was very small. I sat down right next to her, trying to lean as far to the other side as possible. Willa glared at me in dissatisfaction. Do you hate me that much? I shook my head. No, I was just afraid of sitting on your dress and wrinkling it. Willa clicked her tongue in annoyance. She started touching my face again. I should have known this would happen. I might as well have lied and said I hated her. After all, I'm the vicious supporting character who's incompatible with her like fire and water. Willa finally stopped pinching my cheeks reluctantly and got down to business. Care to explain? You gave away the black card I gave you to your beloved little wolf dog. She dramatically clutched her chest, wiping away non-existent tears. Heidi, you heartless traitor, forgetting your sister for a pretty face. I'm gonna DSS you. I'm sorry, sis. I shouldn't have given your black card to someone else. I lowered my head in shame, blushing as I explained. But Jeffrey isn't. You've misunderstood our relationship. Willa let out an oh, raised an eyebrow while staring into my eyes, and said, so even if his legs were broken by old man Santos, you wouldn't care, let alone feel heartbroken? Huh? I was taken aback. Sister, what are you talking about? Jeffrey was indeed a bit rebellious before, but it shouldn't be to the extent. Willa shrugged. That's just the Santos family's way. If a seedling grows crooked, they'd rather break its legs and keep it at home than let it run wild and harm others. Quite admirable, really. Old Mr. Santos just told me that whether we can find out who the sugar mommy supporting Jeffrey is doesn't really matter. The key point is that Jeffrey couldn't resist the temptation himself, so it serves him right to have his legs broken and be locked up at home. My lips trembled. But he never spent a single cent from that card. Willa rested her chin on her hand, smiling at me with a troubled sigh. Well, there's nothing we can do about it. Who told him to fall for it? I stood up in a panic, completely missing the underlying meaning in my sister's words. I recalled how I'd given Jeffrey that black card because I didn't have any cash on me at the time, never imagining it would end up harming him. I pressed down on the door handle, ready to rush out and save him. But my sister stopped me. Hey, what are you doing? I looked anxious. I need to go explain everything to Mr. Santos. And then what? What about your reputation? Heidi, you can't expect those people to believe your explanation. They'll just think you're trying to cover for Jeffrey and sugarcoat your sugar daddy relationship. I froze. What exactly should I do to save Jeffrey without damaging his reputation? Willa laughed in exasperation. Why don't you think about yourself first? I pressed my lips together in silence. The system had long warned that a villainous supporting character would come to no good end. These years of enjoying my family's love have already made me very content. Now I only regret not being cautious enough, dragging others down when I should have been the one to face ruin, thinking that I might soon be driven out of the Wen family, with tears in my eyes. I looked at her sorrowfully. Sister, thank you for taking care of me these years. In the future, I might not be able to see you anymore. Willow looked utterly shocked. What are you doing? Are you eloping with Jeffrey? I won't allow it. Even though I shook my head decisively, my sister still didn't believe me. She muttered under her breath, I shouldn't have gone along with that brat's scheme. He almost managed to whisk you away. I was sobbing uncontrollably and didn't catch what she said clearly. Sister, I want to go see Jeffrey and apologize to him. Willa irritably brushed her long hair aside, finally gritting her teeth and agreeing, go ahead, just remember to protect yourself. I didn't understand the meaning behind my sister's last words. Dazed and confused, I knocked on Jeffrey's door. The door opened. Jeffrey and I locked eyes. Long time no see. I awkwardly greeted him. For years since we last met. This was the first time observing Jeffrey up close after our reunion. He had long shed the naivety of youth, his features now more chiseled, his cold stare carried even greater intimidation now. It's you. Perhaps seeing a familiar face softened his cold expression slightly. With one hand in his pocket and the other gripping the doorframe, he asked, what do you want? There are some things I'd like to discuss with you. Would it be alright if I came in, or should we go somewhere else? Jeffrey remained silent for a moment before letting go. Come in, excuse me. I awkwardly stepped into Jeffrey's room. I regretted my words the moment they left my mouth. It's still too presumptuous to barge into a boy's room uninvited. I kept my head down, staring at the floor, not wanting to pry into anyone's privacy. Jeffrey was walking right behind me. Look up, unless you want to walk into a wall, he scoffed. I awkwardly raised my head and quickly walked to the tea table, not even noticing that I was walking with my arms and legs moving in sync. Jeffrey pulled out a chair and sat across from me. He kept staring at me without saying a word. I coughed twice and, to break the silence, forced myself to make small talk. It's been 4 years. You've changed quite a bit, huh? Jeffrey didn't even lift his eyelids. You've changed too, but not much. Still as foolish as ever. The conversation was swiftly killed. I took a deep breath and decided to cut straight to the chase. I came about the black card. I'll explain everything clearly to old Mr. Santos. Oh, Jeffrey's expression was calm, but his words nearly made me choke. Are you going to admit to my grandfather that you used to keep me as your sugar baby? My face turned red with embarrassment. That's not exactly it. After all, we didn't have that kind of relationship. Jeffrey raised an eyebrow. No, you paid. I worked. How is that not a sugar baby arrangement? If it were before, I might have really been fooled by his few words. But now, having followed my sister around and seen many people and things, I'm not so easily fooled anymore. I thought it over seriously and retorted, there's no affection between us, just a cold, transactional relationship, and most of the time, you didn't even take the money. In fact, you even paid out of your own pocket. At this point, I felt both guilty and ashamed. I was young and didn't know better back then. I'm sorry. Let me pay you back now, Jeffrey just said, oh, and replied, no need. He closed his eyes and slumped into the chair. It was my own wishful thinking, my own foolishness. It has nothing to do with you. His expression turned cold and rigid again, adopting a stance of refusing to communicate. Just go. There's no need for you to explain anything to Grandpa. That black card was something I deliberately took to provoke him in the first place. Everything that's happened now has nothing to do with you. I was left speechless, watching his indifferent demeanor. My heart ached with bitterness, yet I didn't know why, nor did I know what to say. All I could do was try not to disturb him. Quietly rising from my seat and heading toward the door, I passed by a cabinet in the middle. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that besides medals and trophies, the rest were photo frames and pictures. Curiosity eventually prompted me to take another look inside the cabinet. Among the photos, there was only one group graduation photo, the rest are all me. I instinctively turned around. Jeffrey had opened his eyes at some point. Their gazes met. I smiled awkwardly. So you like collecting photos, huh? Jeffrey turned his head away, refusing to look at me, veins throbbing on his forehead. I practically fled in panic. I I should go now. As I carefully closed the door behind me, the system, silent for so long, suddenly shouted, "Enough, I've had it up to here." The system roared. Might as well rename me the matchmaker system at this point. What? I was slightly stunned. Host, sometimes I really hate that you're such a blockhead. The system fumed with frustration. Jeffrey likes you. Isn't that obvious enough? Elle likes me. My pupils trembled in shock. It took me a few seconds to process this news. After coming to my senses, I shook my head sadly and self-deprecatingly. How could anyone like a weak, boring, and malicious supporting character like me? Besides, I've done many terrible things to Jeffrey, even slapped him once. The more I spoke, the more guilty I felt, nearly on the verge of tears again. As long as it's consensual, what you did before can at most be considered foreplay. You get it. The system sighed deeply, lighting a cigarette as it looked up at the sky with utter despair. I'm so damn stupid, really. Some things only became clear to me after upgrading to version 3.0. I let out an ah, suddenly remembering something else. So, does that mean my mission is completely failed? Suddenly feeling even more depressed, the system practically wanted to jump out of my brain and grab my ears with its own hands. Haven't I made myself clear enough? Host, forget about missions right now. Shouldn't you just barge into Jeffrey's room, push him against the wall, and kiss him passionately? Do I really need to write this scene into a plot and push it to you as a mission? The system was covered in question marks, its eyes screaming the word absurd in bold letters. I shook my head firmly at it. No, I'll die soon after the mission fails. I don't want to play with someone else's feelings. The system coughed awkwardly. Actually, that line was just to scare newcomers. To make hosts obediently complete tasks, there are plenty of failed task takers. We can't really eliminate them all, right, host? I was shocked, but back then, you clearly said that if the mission failed, not only would I die, but even my parents would. The system scratched its head in embarrassment. Ahem, that's because the system detected the host's will to survive was very weak at the time, so we had to escalate and threaten the host with their parents. After hearing the system's words, I suddenly fell silent. Thinking back to when I had just been found and returned to the One family, seeing my parents and sister as a happy and warm family of 3, I truly had the thought that this family might not need me after all. After getting lost back then, I was trafficked to a mountainous area and became a child bride for a family. During those years, I endured a lot of suffering, both physically and mentally exhausted. If the system had said back then that I'd die if I didn't complete the mission, I might have chosen death without hesitation, but now, the system tells me it was just a joke. Suddenly, I feel an indescribable sense of absurdity and relief. Since there's no elimination, then what's the penalty for mission failure? The system pretended to be casual. It's nothing much, just that the person who fails has to fulfill one wish for the person who succeeds in the task. The not-so-great part is that this wish is randomly drawn from a pool of wishes, and once drawn, it will be enforced immediately to prevent the host from regretting or backing out. But if the host is lucky, they might encounter a tasker who just wants money, and since the host's family has no shortage of money, that would solve the problem. The system forced an optimistic tone. I didn't want to let him down either, so I pretended to be relaxed and nodded. Sounds simple enough. Let's just start drawing then. The system was shocked. Damn, host, you're this bold. I shrugged, recalling a phrase my college roommate often said when drawing cards in games: what gambler keeps losing forever. The system gave me a thumbs up and, without further ado, decisively pressed start. After the dazzling array of colors faded, a rolled up red wish paper appeared in my mind. The system's eyelids suddenly twitched. Host, its tone grew extremely grave. Red wish papers usually signify that the wisher has some physical issue and wants to exchange for a healthy body. So, host. The system suddenly couldn't bear to continue speaking. I smiled optimistically and picked up the note. Don't be so pessimistic. I'm already much luckier than most people. At least I still have money for treatment now, even if it's terminal. Maybe I can hold on for a while longer. I unfolded the note. The above is a wish written stroke by a deaf-mute little girl. Mom said I'm an angel whose wings were taken back by God, which is why I've never been able to hear or speak since birth. Actually, I know Mom was comforting me because she often cries alone at night. Sometimes I hide behind the door, wanting so much to go over and hug her, but I can't say words of comfort, nor can I listen to her troubles. I can't even hear her sobs. I often wonder, when will God be willing to return my wings to me? if I've ever done anything wrong, why not just let me make amends? Later, the system brother appeared, his voice as kind as my teacher's. He told me that if I could complete the mission, I could make a wish. I agreed without hesitation, and that very night, he showed me a story. In the story, I actually, personally killed my own mother. This means that if I want to complete the mission, I must personally kill my mother in the future. How could this be possible? Mother had lung cancer, when her life was nearing its end. The system went behind my back and told her about the mission. In the end, mother held my hand and, with the same patience as when she used to guide me as a child, removed her own ventilator. I completed the mission, but I also killed mom with my own hands. I've never hated success so much. I'd rather the mission failed and accepted the system's punishment than have mom willingly give up her life for me. So, to whoever finds this note, I both envy and resent you, because you only need to pay one price. Well, I lost mom, but this is an opportunity my mother fought for me to have. And I absolutely won't hold back. Her greatest wish while she was alive was to hear me speak with her own ears. After mom passed away, this wish was already destined to remain unfulfilled, but at least I can lay a bouquet of flowers at her grave and say, I love you, to her with my own voice. I've met quite a few people in my life who, despite having a mouth, never dared to speak their true feelings, so, detested stranger. I give you these final 10 seconds to say one last word to the person you most wish to see. After these 10 seconds, please lend me your voice, so I may fulfill my own wish. 15, 10, 9, 8. The countdown had already begun by the time I read the last line. Summoning all my strength, I rushed upstairs and stumbled into Jeffrey's room. 6, 5. He caught me in surprise as I was about to fall. 3, 2. I grabbed his arms with both hands and chose the most cliché line. Jeffrey, 1, 0. The moment the countdown reached 0, I instantly lost all ability to speak. I knelt on the ground, trembling as tears streamed down my face. If only I had been a little faster. I suddenly fell into a warm embrace. Jeffrey held me tightly, as if holding everything. His voice trembled, but his tone grew firmer. I heard it, Heidi, I heard everything. The system was crying its eyes out beside us. Why did its host have to suffer so much, only to end up mute, unable to even utter a single word of love? It angrily wanted to destroy that red slip of paper, but from a certain angle, under the light's reflection, it saw the final sentence written in invisible ink. For one day, making a funny face, blah blah blah. It crushed the note expressionlessly, then sucked back its snot and tears. Thinking to itself, now it could finally move on to the next world without any attachments. After hearing the first story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Next, let's continue to see another similar story. My best friend has leukemia, and classmates are raising donations. I pretend to be asleep at my desk, acting like I can't hear. Someone walks up to me with a donation box and asks how much I'll contribute, without even lifting my head. I'm not donating. From then on, I became the school's notorious troublemaker, and no one wanted to say another word to me. When my dad appeared at the classroom door, I knew I was done for. He rushed forward and kicked me, his bloodshot eyes filled with rage, as if he wanted to strangle me to death. I raised you all these years just so you could steal money. Give me the money now, and I won't beat you to death. The classroom erupted in uproar. With students instinctively clearing a space for the father-daughter showdown, I got up from the floor, unsteady on my feet, my face burning with pain. It's all spent. My father snorted heavily in anger, his rough, calloused hand twisting my mouth as if he wanted to tear it apart. Just then, the homeroom teacher, who had hurried over, quickly intervened and called the security guards to escort both me and my father to the office. The dean of students led my father into another room with a smile, while the homeroom teacher, after catching her breath, looked at me with eyes full of disappointment. How much did you steal? 324. Why did you steal the money? The homeroom teacher asked me with a frown. Was it to top up for in-game purchases or to buy cosmetics? A metallic taste filled my mouth as I clenched my back teeth and remained silent. My stubborn refusal to speak infuriated the teacher, who paced around the office like a caged animal. Seeing how tight-lipped I was, she sighed, took her wallet, and left. When she returned, she was holding an ice pack. Your dad has left. Take this ice pack for your face and go back to class first. Come to my office during evening study session. We need to have a serious talk. When I returned to the classroom, the previously noisy room suddenly fell dead silent. My desk and chair were lying on the floor. after picking up my books, just as I was setting them upright again. A voice suddenly came from behind me, "Thief." No one wanted to be in my group for volleyball in PE class. The teacher assigned the class sports committee member to pair with me, but he deliberately hit the ball too hard, making it impossible for me to catch, and I kept having to pick it up. The teacher called me aside. "Julia, is someone bullying you?" Before I could speak, the sports committee member suddenly ran over. He had a good relationship with the PE teacher and felt indignant about being doubted like this. That would be considered doing justice. Usually, she's so aloof, and it's always Lily who drags her along to play, telling us not to exclude her. Now that Lily has leukemia, she acts like nothing's wrong. When we collected donations the other day, she didn't contribute a single cent. I didn't look at the teacher's expression, but I could easily imagine it: disdain, disappointment, or perhaps feeling it wasn't worth questioning his favorite student over someone like her. Picking up the volleyball, I returned to the field and practiced on my own. The commotion here attracted other classmates, who gathered in twos and threes to watch me continuously bump the ball only for it to hit the ground. I heard someone say, "Why isn't it her who got leukemia?" The ball hit the ground, and I didn't pick it up. As if frozen in place, I watched the volleyball roll farther away, my mind conjuring up Lily's gaunt face as she lay in the hospital bed. To everyone, Lily was my only friend, but that wasn't really the case. Lily was like a little sun, and I was merely passing by. Her light just happened to shine on me in that fleeting moment. "So, we can't really be called friends. I'm just a classmate she once looked after." On the first day Lily took leave half a month ago, I was eating instant noodles in the classroom, staring at the empty seat next to mine, thinking how nice it was to finally have a quiet lunch without that chatterbox around. On the second day of Lily's leave, I hid in a bathroom stall munching on steamed buns, swallowing them bite by bite with pickles and water. The aroma from the cafeteria wafted throughout the school, but I thought nothing tasted as good as the beef rice Lily used to bring me from her home. On the third day of Lily's leave, I skipped meals and returned to the dormitory to retrieve the spare phone she had given me from under the bed. It was that very call that revealed Lily had leukemia. The call was answered by her mother, her voice still trembling with tears. I was just a high school student. No money, no means, unable to offer any real help. Yet, the moment the call ended, as if possessed, I asked for the name of the hospital and rushed there without a second's delay. Everyone in the hospital wore numb expressions. Doctors and nurses hurried past. I inquired about Lily's room at the nurses' station and spotted her mother right at the door. I remembered her. At the parent-teacher meeting, she had worn a beautiful dress, elegant and full of vitality. But now, compared to before, it's like a withered magnolia, its petals all tinged with yellow. After Lily's father and Lily's mother told me about Lily's condition, they couldn't help but embrace each other in the hallway. Shedding tears, I stood at the door, watching Lily lying on the hospital bed, her face as pale as paper, like a piece of porcelain that would shatter at the slightest touch. I didn't dare push the door open and go in. I didn't know what to say, just as I didn't know why I was here in the first place. At that moment, there was only one thought in my mind: I wish I were the one who got leukemia. After returning the volleyball to the sports room, when I tried to open the door again, it was locked. I simply lay down on the mat used for sit-ups, thinking they might as well lock me in here until I die. I hoped this door would never open, until during evening self-study when the homeroom teacher couldn't find me. She asked many people, until finally opening this door, her face glistening with sweat, and let out a sigh of relief upon seeing me. "You scared me to death. I thought something had happened to you." The door was locked from the outside. After reviewing the surveillance footage, the teacher angrily vowed to take strict action. The next morning, a class meeting was held where bullying behavior was severely condemned. The instigator turned out to be the class beauty. She felt indignant on Lily's behalf. She was the one who had been Lily's childhood friend all along. She felt that after the person who saved me from dire straits met with misfortune, I should be devastated and unable to recover. Not acting as if nothing had happened, my indifference doesn't match Lily's previous sacrifices. The homeroom teacher's words were too harsh, and the class beauty lay on the desk, sobbing uncontrollably. The homeroom teacher's voice was drawn out, filled with countless implications. Her gaze lingered on each student's face as the sound of clear reading came from the next classroom. The teacher's voice grew distant. "When you grow up and look back at your actions during high school, you'll realize how one-sided your understanding of things was. You'll regret why you didn't think more about others at this time." My head grew heavier and heavier. Then I fell backward, the last thing I saw being the horrified face of the classmate nearest to me. I was taken to the infirmary. When I woke up, I was hooked up to and 4 of glucose. The homeroom teacher sat by my bed, while a few class monitors placed 2 bags of snacks by my bedside. The school nurse, seeing I was awake and noticing the 4 was almost empty, admonished me, "Young lady, you mustn't skip meals to lose weight. You're already very thin." At this very moment, I found my own relief laughable. In such a wretched state, having fainted from hunger in the classroom, I felt relieved when the school nurse didn't ask why I hadn't eaten after saying those words. God knows how hard I had to rack my brains just to avoid looking so pitiful. The class beauty and the sports committee member were whispering behind me when suddenly the latter was pushed toward me. He awkwardly held out a box of chocolate. "It wasn't me who gave this to you. Someone else asked me to pass it to you." That person was too shy to say it themselves. Even through the packaging, I could smell the chocolate's aroma, rich, pure, sweet yet balanced with a hint of bitterness to neutralize the taste. The eye-catching gold foil wrapping made it clear this chocolate wasn't cheap. I desperately wanted to tear open the packaging and shove it all into my mouth to chew greedily, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. Perhaps I'm too impoverished, clinging to life solely by holding on to my dignity. A single box of chocolates feels like an overwhelming burden to me, something I can neither repay nor truly enjoy. So, I raised my chin, trying my best to appear aloof and indifferent. While struggling to suppress my craving, chocolates are too high in calories. I'm on a diet and can't eat these. The class beauty scoffed from behind the crowd. Her almost apologetic gesture of goodwill was met with my ungrateful refusal, and she turned away in anger. "I really don't know how Lily could stand being around someone like you for so long. How awkward I am. How detestable I am." Holding out until Saturday, I went to the hospital to visit Lily. I didn't dare to buy fruit at the hospital entrance. It was too expensive. I remembered she liked oranges, so I went to the market and picked out a bag, which cost 17 yuan and 30 cents. The elderly lady in front of me haggled and got the price rounded down. I wanted to ask the vendor to do the same, but I just couldn't bring myself to speak up, so in the end, I let it go. Just as I stepped out of the elevator at the hospital, I saw several classmates holding flowers and fruit baskets. I practically fled in panic. I don't even know what I was afraid of. Maybe it was because the oranges I brought were too cheap. I thought no one had seen me, so I walked swiftly all the way until I ran head-on into my homeroom teacher at the hospital's main entrance. She was quite cheerful and immediately threw an arm around my shoulder. "Today the class organized a visit to see Lily. I thought you weren't coming. That little girl is usually closest to you. If you hadn't shown up, she would have been really upset." I instantly felt my scalp tingle with dread. I hid the orange behind my back and forced a smile at the homeroom teacher. "Teacher, I just remembered I have something else to do, so I'll head back first." Julia," Lily suddenly spoke up. I turned around abruptly and saw her standing at the corner, dressed in an oversized hospital gown. When she noticed me looking, her eyes curved into a smile, and she ran toward me. My feet seemed nailed to the ground. Unable to move, letting her embrace me fully, her voice was soft, yet it exploded in my ears like fireworks, carrying a teasing tone. "My mom told me everything. You've secretly come to see me many times, but why didn't you come inside? I've been waiting for you for so long." Her once healthy body had withered like a deflated ball, her vitality drained away like silk being pulled apart. The forced composure she wore was as fragile as a bubble. After half a month in the hospital, the scent of disinfectant had already seeped into her being. I watched her decline like a bystander. My lips moved, but no words came out. Fortunately, she understood my speechlessness and simply patted my shoulder with familiarity. After greeting the homeroom teacher, she led the way ahead. "Bella brought me a cake. A big one. We can share it together." My sudden appearance instantly cooled the lively atmosphere in the hospital room. Everyone looked at me with some surprise, as if they hadn't expected me to be here. Lily's mother noticed the awkwardness and warmly invited me to sit down. The homeroom teacher placed the fruit basket she had brought on the table, then left the room with Lily's mother. "The oranges are really sweet." Lily had a great appetite and ate 2 of the oranges I bought in a row. Standing in the corner, I watched her being the center of attention like a star surrounded by admirers. The gifts her friends had prepared for her were dazzling in their abundance. "She has so many friends." While I was still pondering how to leave, Lily's mother pushed the door open and came in, holding the money I had stuffed into her arms the last time I came to see Lily. It looked like a large handful, but in reality, it wasn't much, just 672 yuan and 50 cents. Lily's mother, in front of all the classmates in the ward, stuffed the money back into my hand. She said, "Auntie, I can't take your money, Julia." I stared blankly at the bills in my hand, crumpled but clean, money I'd saved for so long. I felt somewhat awkward, not understanding why Lily's mother would return the money to me in front of everyone. I thought it was my sincere gesture, but perhaps it seemed insignificant and unworthy in their eyes. Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of Bella, the class beauty, and suddenly I understood why. I looked at Lily's mother, my voice cold. "I see. Did someone tell you I'm a thief, so you think this money is dirty?" Lily's mother looked at me helplessly, as if she didn't understand why I would ask that. Sensing something was wrong, Lily got out of bed and explained to me, "I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely not what you think. It's not dirty money. It was left to me by my mother before she passed away, but I was too young at the time. And my father took it from me. I didn't steal his money. I was just taking back what my mother left for me. I don't care how the whole class sees me, but I won't use dirty money to help Lily with her treatment." After saying that, I stormed out, not wanting to see their expressions. Sitting on the flower bed by the roadside, I thought about everything I'd been through at school recently: my friend hospitalized with leukemia, being slapped by my dad in front of the whole class, fainting from hunger and ending up in the infirmary, being humiliated by my friend's mom who called the money dirty. They say when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up. When will my endlessly falling life bounce back? Just when I thought my life couldn't get any worse, a phone call from my father sent me straight to rock bottom. My father sold me to the village's old bachelor for 10,000 yuan. I'm truly terrified of being looked down upon, so, when I couldn't afford food, I would wait until after mealtime to see if there were any leftover steamed buns on my classmates' plates. I would secretly slip the buns into my sleeve as I passed by, then dash into a bathroom stall, where I'd take out some free pickles from another pocket and eat them bite by bite with water. Some classmates would order takeout, but they often didn't eat much and left a lot behind. I'd wait for them to throw it away, then secretly pick it up and hide in a corner where no one could see me to eat it. That's how I survived. But when others asked me, I'd say I went to a restaurant and ordered many dishes alone. They wouldn't believe my words, because my shoes were bought secondhand for 25 on a trading platform, and everything about me reeks of poverty. But they'd think I'm vain, not pitiful. But now, my father drags me from the classroom to the school gate like a dead dog. With many people watching from the windows, they whisper to each other, their hushed voices like mice gnawing at my ears. I'm so numb I don't even show a trace of sadness, yet my father still fears I might escape, gripping the back of my neck tightly. Actually, compared to high school, middle school was the real living hell. All my classmates were from nearby villages. They all knew about my family situation. Their parents looked down on mine, and they looked down on me too, so they bullied me. I wasn't liked by the teachers either, so there was no one to protect me. High school was relatively much better. At worst, I'd get some harmless jabs. Even Bella, who disliked me the most, only called me a thief once and locked me in the sports equipment room. My resentment and indignation had long been ground to dust, swallowed down with raw water into the pit of my stomach. The van stopped at the entrance, and I was roughly shoved inside by my dad, just as the door was about to close. A hand pressed against it, and suddenly a crowd surged forward, pushing my dad aside. I saw a fair, delicate hand with light pink nail polish reaching toward me, followed by countless other hands. They called my name and pulled me out of the cramped vehicle. The boys from my class stood between me and my dad, while the girls shielded me behind them. Bella shouted, "Call the police." I was jostled and pushed, growing farther and farther away from my father. Everyone was pulling me along. The commotion at the school gate drew attention, and the homeroom teacher arrived with the dean of academics immediately, but the issue wasn't resolved. My father resorted to crying, making a scene, and even threatening suicide, determined to take me home. When the old principal learned the full story, he rushed out of his office and swung his cane at my father. Restrained by security, my father took a hard blow to his back, which enraged him to the point of his eyes bulging with fury. "You old fool, if you're so reluctant to part with that little bitch, then pay to take her away and let her serve you." The old principal was so furious he nearly fainted. I followed all the girls back to the dorm. Bella, who had been in contact with the class monitor via WeChat, learned about the situation at the school gate and was so angry she nearly gritted her teeth to pieces. Throwing her phone onto the bed, she blurted out, "How can a father be like this?" I didn't say anything, but the other classmates tugged at Bella's sleeve, signaling her to calm down. The old principal was taken away by an ambulance, while my father lay on the ground moaning in pain. Passers-by, unaware of what had happened, started recording videos. When the police arrived, my father, that tough nut, showed no fear at all. Instead, he puffed out his chest with an indifferent expression. Is it illegal to pick up my own daughter? Your daughter is only 16, you're taking her back to get married. The homeroom teacher's hands trembled with anger as she grasped the officer's hand, pleading earnestly, Officer, Julia has always been obedient and hardworking. At her current level, she could get into a good university. She can't go back to get married now. My dad suddenly stood up and flatly denied what he had said before. I never said that. I took my daughter back because her mother is sick and needs her care. I'm a big, rough man. How could I possibly take care of someone? You told me you were going to withdraw Julia from school, and while I went to find the principal, you forcibly took the child from the classroom. We all saw it. The homeroom teacher had never seen such a scoundrel, someone who could turn black into white. Her face turned livid with anger, and she grabbed a random student from the hallway to testify that what she said was true. In the video, my father's face was despicable. And the final shot showed the sports committee member spitting fiercely at him. Bella was scratching her head, wondering what to do. By then, I had already started silently packing my school bag. She was smart and immediately understood my intention, pressing down on my bag's zipper. Her voice cracked with disbelief in her eyes. You're packing up to go back and marry that old man. I had very little contact with Bella, and the few times we did interact were not pleasant. She didn't like me. And I once overheard her telling Lily that when I sat alone in the corner sometimes, I looked like a murderer from a European or American thriller. Not entirely untrue. To be fair, I asked, where's your fruit knife? What are you going to do? I can't take the college entrance exam anymore. I took out a few notebooks from my backpack, originally meant for Lily. Her grades were average, and these were the key study points I prepared for her, but now there's no chance to give them to her. If any of you need them, just take them. The cabinet door slammed open. The girl closest to the cabinet placed the fruit knife on top, rubbed her nose, and stepped aside to explain, mine is at least made of metal. Several girls stood blocking the doorway and refused to move. After half a minute of stalemate, their eyes reddened, and tears began to fall. Let's all think of a solution together. The homeroom teacher will help us too. No one can stop a young person from pursuing their own choices. As I walked out the door, it was as if I suddenly remembered something. I turned back to look at Bella and smiled. Thank you for the chocolate. The most awkward thank you has now become something I can say with complete naturalness. I'm waiting for my rebound from rock bottom. When everyone stands in front of me, speaking and explaining on my behalf, that is my rebound. From the school gate to the dormitory, a 10-minute walk took me only 5 minutes when I ran. The wind during those 5 minutes blew into my mind, clearing my thoughts a lot. What had been surrounding me, bothering me, and tearing at me turned out to be nothing once stripped of its outer layers. At this moment, I admit that I have a great group of classmates. It's just that I'm introverted, timid, and reclusive. Thinking back, they've been accepting me since the start of the semester, sharing study materials before exams, pulling me into the class group chat, venting about absurd things. Even when I stayed silent, no one kicked me out. Even when they went to the store in a group to buy popsicles, they would always bring one back for me. The moment I stepped out of the school gate, it felt as if my entire soul had been stripped away. Those friends whom I had never openly acknowledged, yet who had given me so much help, had long held a special place in my heart. Lily is my friend, my best friend, the only friend. There were many people at the scene. When I appeared there, both the homeroom teacher and the dean were shocked. They ran towards me, afraid that my father would grab me the moment I showed up, and quickly pushed me back inside the school gate. What are you doing out here, child? But I can't leave. I know all too well that I'll always return to that home. I might dodge it once, but never a second time. I can't let those who care about me charge into battle for me. My father is nothing but a pile of shit. Just getting close is enough to be assaulted by his stench, let alone pushing and shoving with him, arguing with him. In 3 more months, it'll be my 17th birthday. Even if I can't protect myself, I can drag those who harm me down with me. I walked toward my father and got into the car in front of everyone. I'm willing to go back with my father, so, stop it, this farce. I hid the fruit knife in the wide sleeve of my clothes. I thought we'd go straight to the wedding chamber when we got back, but my dad said it would be in 3 days. That old bachelor was quite particular, choosing an auspicious date. When we got home, my dad and stepmother, afraid I might run away, locked me in the room right away. The musty smell seeped through the walls covered in old certificates of merit. Each time the door opened, steamed buns and porridge appeared. After the door opened 5 times, on the 6th, several village aunties came in to comb my hair and dress me. I was stripped naked and forced into an ill-fitting wedding dress. The fruit knife I had hidden under the mattress the moment they entered was now back in my hand, bringing me a fleeting sense of security in the home I'd lived in for 16 years. How could I escape? Should I seize the moment to flee when the ceremony begins? Or should I wait until after the ceremony, when only that man and I remain in the room, then plunge the knife into his drunken throat before setting fire to my father and stepmother? The imagined flames merged with the dim light above, casting a glow on my face. I won't let them off easy. When one door shuts, another opens. I still have a chance, even if I can't escape today. There's always tomorrow. In the morning, amid the sounds of music and celebration, many guests arrived for the feast. Covered with a red bridal veil, I was led by my aunt to the household of the man who was to marry me. She told me not to step on the threshold but to step over it, and also to step over a fire pan. There are many people at the door, all waiting to see the bride. I pursed my lips and was just about to step forward when I heard a curse from the courtyard. Whose damn kid are you? Has no one taught you manners? Pissing in the big pot. Then came the sound of pots and pans clattering to the ground. My heart skipped a beat as I lifted the red bridal veil and dashed over the threshold into the courtyard. What I saw were my male classmates, led by the sports committee member, dodging the villagers' attempts to catch them as nimbly as monkeys. In their escape, they overturned every single table in the yard. Chaos ensued, with people and objects tumbling everywhere. My aunt tried to put the red veil back on my head. Those who work the fields year-round possess considerable strength. And as I struggled with her, suddenly a basin came flying straight at her head. I looked up and saw it was Bella. She warned me, "Run, those old fogies are coming to get you." I snapped out of my daze, quickly gathering my cumbersome skirt and fleeing. First it was just the PE monitor and Bella, but then more and more familiar faces appeared. All classmates from our class. Bella had terrible stamina. She'd never passed a fitness test in her life. After just a few steps, she was panting like an ox. Yet even in that state, she didn't let me go. "You idiot, do I have to remind you to run?" She was the prettiest girl in our class. You could always see her doing homework halfway, then suddenly taking out a comb to fix her hair, or chatting with someone while casually smoothing her bangs. This girl who cared so much about her appearance now had strands of hair sticking to her face, no longer immaculate, but messy and disheveled. We ran all the way to the village entrance in one breath, where our homeroom teacher was waiting by the bus. Turns out she had come too. She stepped forward and hugged us in her arms, her voice choked with emotion. "Good children, all such good children." I felt something cold and wet on my face, only then realizing I was actually crying, instinctively feeling embarrassed. I didn't dare lift my head, burying my face in the homeroom teacher's embrace. But after just 2 seconds, I raised my head again. "Thank you all." At this moment, I laid bare my most vulnerable and incompetent side for all to see. "Thank you for everything you've done for me. I'm deeply moved. I'm so dull that even my gratitude comes across as boring." Bella chuckled, rubbed her arms, and said, "That's so corny." She picked up the comb and began brushing her bangs again. Then, without any of us noticing, she stood at the outermost edge and took out her phone to record the scene. No official in this world, no matter how high-ranking, can handle my dad. Except for the village chief. The old principal reached out to people in the district, calling in personal favors. The town leaders, along with the village chief, went to see my dad. The village chief started with 3 kicks, knocking my dad to the ground. Then, the matter was resolved. It seemed easy, but only I knew that for me, it had once been a disaster of overwhelming proportions. Returning to school smoothly was something I had never imagined. Stepping back into the classroom, everything was as usual, and we all tacitly avoided mentioning what had happened before. Bella waved me over, tilting her face up to ask me. After the college entrance exams, everyone decided to go for a bone marrow match test for Lily. "Are you going?" "Of course," I said. "They've helped me a lot, so I want to treat everyone to breakfast." The homeroom teacher told the village chief that I was doing well in my studies and, barring any surprises, could get into a good university, bringing honor to the village. The village chief stroked his beard, took out 200 yuan from his pocket, and told me to take good care of myself. I loaded the 200 yuan onto my meal card, after morning self-study. I went downstairs with my classmates and arrived at the cafeteria entrance. "Let me treat you all to breakfast." The sports committee member rubbed the back of his head, about to refuse, but was stopped by Bella with an elbow. Bella said, "Then I won't stand on ceremony." Though she claimed she wouldn't hold back, in reality she only took a cup of soy milk, then muttered about needing to lose weight because she was getting too plump. The other classmates also stopped being polite, though none took much, until the class sports committee member with a big appetite took 2 steamed buns and a cup of soy milk. I pursed my lips. I'm cutting fat." The sports committee member grinned, never missing a chance to show off his muscles. "They can still be more perfect." I told everyone to take more, but they all said they had enough. There were still people queuing behind me. I swiped my meal card and noticed the balance left was 507 cents. My phone suddenly buzzed. It was a text message from the school's academic affairs office, which read, "Dear Julia, due to your special circumstances, after deliberation, our school has decided to provide you with a monthly living allowance of 1,000 yuan and a meal subsidy of 300 yuan. We hope this will be of assistance to you, wishing you progress in your studies and continuous improvement every day." Holding my phone, my vision grew slightly blurry, then he turned around and said to everyone, "The school gave me a subsidy, and I still have over 500 left in my card. That's great." The sports committee member cheered, then handed the tray to the cafeteria window, looking somewhat embarrassed. "Can I get 2 more buns then?" After the college entrance exams, we kept our promise and came to the hospital for bone marrow matching. The doctor remarked with emotion, "That little girl must be quite popular. So many people are willing to help her." My thoughts were pulled back by these words to an utterly ordinary noon. When the sun was shining brightly in a cloudless sky, I stopped in front of the utility pole, staring intently at the small advertisement offering payment for egg donation. After half a minute, I tore it off as quickly as possible, secretly tucked it into my pocket, and brought it back to school. I still owed 70 yuan for the workbook, but I had no money left. In front of the school phone booth, I hesitantly dialed the number on the ad, asking how much they would pay, whether hygiene and safety during the egg retrieval process could be guaranteed, and if they could offer a higher price since I was still young. Then, before the other party could respond, the call was abruptly ended. Lily's finger pressed down on the phone button. She looked at me, her eyes flickering with an unreadable light. I moved her hand away, my tone unfriendly. "First come, first served. Wait until I'm done before you make your call. I've already given the workbook money to the homeroom teacher just now," Lily said in a lowered voice. "I won't tell anyone about this." As if noticing the confusion in my eyes, Lily's previously gentle tone turned solemn and serious. "No matter how great the difficulty you face, you must never harm your own body." The voice from memory transcends time to the present. After completing the matching test, during the waiting period, we all hope that we are the ones who match successfully. 2 weeks later, Bella called me, her voice filled with excitement, telling me she had received a call from the hospital saying the match was successful. We were all overjoyed at the prospect of saving Lily. Another year of midsummer arrived. Lily and I met at school. She stood among the crowd, the warm breeze accompanied by the chirping of cicadas, her hair slightly lifted by the wind. Her eyes brimmed with passionate and unrestrained emotions. We gazed at each other, then embraced. The future is promising. After hearing the 2 stories above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.